computer. And that middle. Do you know if Leela is joining us today? I think she's home now.
I hope so.
Yeah. So nice. Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
I love this part. I love this part where we're sitting and we're letting everybody in from the waiting room, and slowly all of you come up and their faces coming on and you're smiling or drinking, or I love that so much. It's so enjoyable.
You just reminded me drinking. I need to go and get my drink.
There you go. Off you go, Don.
Oh.
What was that, Don speaking?
No, that was Rod, I think.
Yeah, that was Rod.
Rod, off you go.
Yep.
Oh, thanks, yeah.
Ah, Lake, amazing. Leela, I'm just gonna make you co-host.
Good to have you here, Irene, in whatever format. Sorry you won't be visible.
Okay. If you keep an eye on people coming
Yeah.
in. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if Leela is ready. It's ready. Yeah.
I'll watch people coming in.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Leela.
Wonderful. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Happy you're here. Okay. The meditation that we planned for today, it's part of a Buddhist meditation called metta meditation. And you probably know of it if you Google metta. There's like thousands of metta meditations out there. And a metta meditation is in 5 different levels, where you start out with sending love and appreciation to yourself. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free from suffering. And the next level, you think of somebody that you really, really love and care about, and think, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering. And on the 3rd level, you think of a stranger. It might be the one that was standing next to you in the line, you know, at a supermarket, or you crossed in traffic, or, you know, somebody you don't know, but that you kind of have a vague image of. And you think of that complete stranger. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering. And on the 4th level, we think of people that we really, really struggle with. It might be somebody that we are having an active feud with. It might be a politician. It might be somebody that we have an issue with, and we get over ourselves and we think, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering. And in the 5th level, it's all of us. It's every single being on the planet that we're sending love and compassion. I think, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering. And that metta meditation you can find thousands of online. So what we would like to do different today is use the same format of a metta meditation, but all 5 levels is about you. So all 5 levels is where you focus on your body, on the perceived body that you have in the 5 different levels, and you focus on your perceived personality that you have, that authentic emotional being that you have, on all 5 levels. And the reason why I want to do that is that no matter which person we do metta meditation about, that we really, really have an issue with, it's always more complicated sending love to ourselves. So we thought, why not take all 5 levels and send to ourselves? So that's what we're going to do. So I would like for you to get comfy, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale and feel how you fall into gravity. Make another inhalation. And exhale. And for each exhalation, feel how you get more and more relaxed and more heavy. And if your mind is all confused about what is going to happen, see if you can just let the mind be confused. It's okay. See if you can let go of the need to understand and to control, and just get into a really relaxed sense in your body. Imagine how your body would feel if you were asleep. And slowly let your breath go into the same type of breath as you would have if you were asleep. Make contact with your feet and your ankles and your knees and your hips. Make contact with the bottom of your spine. Do a Kegel and imagine the spine all the way up, every single vertebra, up to the top of your head, and relax the Kegel. Imagine your entire body on the front, on the back, on the right side, and the left side, above you and below you. And feel how you're just sitting and relaxing into the body. You might have different sensations in the body. See if you can just let them be as they are. And if you have pain anywhere, just let the pain be as it is. See if you can be okay with it. Just for now. You can always go back to hating it again, but right now, just let go of it. It's fine to be in pain. And as you're sitting here and your body is relaxing more and more, think, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And just like your body is just allowed to be here right now as it is, the way that it feels, the way that it's in pain, or it buzzes, or it's numb, or it's contracted. See if you can allow your personality or the authentic emotional part of you just to be as it is. There's no striving, or if you have any wish to be here right now, to become enlightened or awaken or anything, just rest it for right now. Just sit here. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. Now I would like to bring focus to your body again. What part of your body do you really appreciate? It might be your feet. It might be your height. It might be an inner organ, heart. Liver has done a really well job this this lifetime. But something about your body that you actually appreciate. We're so hasting to criticize the body. And you bring focus to parts of your body that you actually truly appreciate. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And go from that physical sensation in the body where you can feel that there's a little smile about the part of the body that you actually appreciate. And see the connection into a personality, a perceived personality. That authentic, emotional part of being that you appreciate. It might be your kindness. It might be your generosity. It might be your ability to feel love. It might be your authenticity, the way that you work with the material. It might be bravery. But something about your perceived personality that you really appreciate. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And get your focus back to your body. And I would like for you to focus on parts of your body that you never really pay much attention. Like the top of your skull, 45 degrees east of your left ear. You rarely bring much attention to that area. Or the side of your hands. The outer side of your shin. Behind the ribs. So see if you can come up with the more areas that you rarely pay any attention. It's almost like unknown areas of your body. We all have the popular parts of the body and the unpopular parts of the body, and they always get the limelight. I'd like for you to focus on all the parts that you never ever think about. The back of your ears. The underside of your nails. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And all of those quirky parts that you never ever really acknowledge as a part of your body. See if you can let that sieve into your personality, into the perceived personality, all of the parts of you, of your authentic emotional part of being, that you're not really ever paying any attention. There's all the unknown parts of your emotional being. If you think back 5 years to how your personality was 5 years ago, and to how your personality is today, Do you see how many areas of your emotional being that has become much more faceted that you did not know about 5 years ago? And today it's a normal part of you. It's safe to assume that 5 years from now, you will be in the same position. So all the parts of your personality or your authentic emotional being that you do not know about yet, send love to that not knowing. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And now I would like for you to focus on the part of your body that you do not like. It might be an ulcer or cancer or wrinkles, muffin top, gray hair, anything physical that you don't like. Really feel into that part that you really, really don't like. And while you sit and have the feeling of disgust or non-acceptance of that part of your body, can you detach the emotional overlay, the thoughts about it, and just look at that as part of your physical body that is unloved and unappreciated? If you're sitting here and there's no thought connected to it, do you see how that area of the physical being, that there's a huge lack of love and appreciation? And without giving much more thought to it, can you send love and appreciation to the ulcer and the gray hair and the muffin top and the cancer? If it wasn't for that part, you would never have the opportunity to look at areas of you that actually need love and compassion. What is it that that part that you really don't like is actually contributing with? Do you see the importance of it now? And while we're at it, and you still have a little hint of non-acceptance towards the physical body, then I would like for you to follow that sensory experience and see where that is connected with an emotional part. That unacceptance of the muffin top or the ulcer or the cancer or the gray hair or wrinkles or whatever it is. Do you see it's not about the physical appearance? It's about something else. There's a personality component connected with it. It might be regret about where you are in life. Things should have been different. It might be lots of shame that now you feel you're wearing the shame. Might be lots of guilt. Might be a huge judgmental side that you feel you need to be punished. There's so much guilt. Might be connected with fear. Fear of dying, fear of living. Now, can you zoom out and look at that and see how those areas are completely deprived from love and appreciation? And if you take them as beacons, not attaching more to them than what they actually is, do you see that that beacon is just pointing you in a direction of something that needs love and appreciation? It was never about the muffin top. It was never about the altar. Just like it was never about the shame or the guilt. There's an underlying belief there that is not even fixed and defined. And can you allow that to be there without putting emphasis on it, but just sending it love and appreciation? May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. And it goes into the level where you dissolve the physical part that is defined as a muffin top or a heart or a left foot or a cute smile. All those identifications with all that physical is dissolved. There is a density of atoms. That density of atoms cannot be hated or loved. It can just be. And there can just be appreciation for what is. If there were to be set a sensation about it, it's just contentment of that density of atoms. And if you follow it into the personality, it's so clear that obviously there's not a personality. There's a very rough outline of a shadow that is like an underlying belief. And it's kind of like that is stepping into character and becoming a personality. But when you zoom into it and you slow down, it's like even that becomes less dense. There's nothing really to fight for or emphasize. It's slowly dissolving. And becoming one with everything else. And may there be happiness, and may there be health. And may there be contentment. And sit and just relax into this dissolving of being on all levels. Just breathe into that. And this space is available all the time. It's a zooming in and slowing down. And then you see this space. I would like for you to make an inhale. Wiggle your toes and feel how the body all of a sudden manifests as a foot. Move your spine and feel how the body manifests as a torso. Move your neck and your shoulders. Feel how you all of a sudden got a head. Make a deep inhalation and open your eyes when you're ready.
That was really, really, really amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, so beautiful. Really, really.
Lovely.
Let me just grab my phone because I keep hearing it.
Yeah,
ding
yeah.
over there.
Every time somebody passes. Yeah. Okay. You want to go first? Okay, then. That was fun. Have a lovely week. Oh.
You just
Nick,
sit in
it
silence
looks
for a
like,
while.
no, it looks like Nick is trying to,
I would like to go, but I can't find the hand on the screen to put
it's
it up.
okay. You did the next big thing. You just started to talk. Let me just
Okay.
see if I can find a pen. Hello, friend.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are both of you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, and congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't really have a whole lot to say other than just thank you for that meditation. It was truly amazing. I had such a hard time getting here this morning. I feel like my life is just very chaotic right now with work and sickness and so much going on that it was just hard to get here. So I really needed that just to kind of, center again and be in that space. And it was very, it was so strange. Like I felt like, I get this every once in a while when I can really just be present with myself. And it's just like a feeling of sinking into the earth. And it was so strange when I opened my eyes that I'm just like right here in front of my computer. But yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you. I don't really speak up too much on these meetings, but I really listen and learn and just love being in the space with everyone.
I completely agree with that. having a community like this where you know that you can just, even though you're sick and you're super stressed by work and there's so many things on the outside that is just really pulling down and making everything difficult, it is like an oasis to come to a group meeting like this where you don't need to do anything. You can just sit and be taken in that wave that the other people are experiencing. And because we are all the same, everybody that has a question, it resonates in you because you recognize it, you know, and every answer that we give, the same thing, it resonates in you because we are the same. So
Yeah.
it's really, really beautiful for you to come and to show up. And also for everybody who are not here right now, but is watching the recording afterwards, it counts. It really, really counts. Yeah.
And I took your advice and I went through LU and I started guiding. So I did that. I'm Todd. So and this,
Wonderful. Super happy about that.
it's been going really well. And you're so correct. I used to teach, so I know this, but guiding somebody else just makes everything so much deeper for yourself. And there's just that sense of like truly connecting with somebody else is just such a beautiful experience. So even if when it doesn't always go the way I'm trying to get it to go, it's still it's still an amazing experience. So yeah.
I absolutely agree. I'm really, really happy that you're doing that because as you say, it is when you really, really want to work with the 4th and the 5th Fetter yourself, the best thing you can do is guide.
Yeah. And your last lesson, it was on the 5th Fetter. I just listened to it yesterday driving to work, explaining that one was for me. And I felt just so much, something like shifted in me doing that meditation. It was amazing. So thank you for all of that as well. Because
I'm so happy. So happy. Yeah.
Really good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Really good seeing you.
Yeah, and I'm going to see you in a couple of days. We have a 1-to-1. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew it was coming up, but I couldn't remember if it was this week, next week. I got really bad at remembering the schedule, but I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. You got the pin?
Yeah, I just saw here. I'm just unpinned. I just saw that. Could we put your name in here as well? So it's not only.
Oh. I
yeah.
didn't even realize that we had that.
You see, it only says
yeah,
me.
It's just.
I don't know how you.
It's down here. Not that it really matters. I mean, I think at this point everybody knows I'm not you.
Yeah.
Though on a different level of speaking.
You are Mr. Pernille.
Wait, why is that not doing that?
And never mind. Never mind.
Hi everybody, I'm Todd.
And now it's Maureen.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy to be here. Whoops, did I?
No,
you're good now.
we can
You're
hear
good
you.
now.
We can hear you.
The audio was a little quiet
Oh,
at the beginning, but
okay.
it fixed itself.
This is my first time on the Tuesday group, and anyway, I've just started the 3rd Fetter, and became very aware of how I distract myself from actually looking at feelings because they don't feel good, and I like to feel good, and so that was interesting. And then I just started the 3rd video of the 3rd Fetter. But what happened this morning that was interesting that I wanted to talk about was, so I've been looking at thoughts, and it seems to me that there are some thoughts that are just like the gases that come up from the swamp, they just come up. And those ones are just to, just turn away from, because they're not really catching me, and they're just kind of there. And then there are some thoughts that it's like, okay, I'm going to inquire about this. But then there are other thoughts. I'm distracted because I don't see you anymore. Okay.
Oh, are you on a phone or a pad?
Oh, there we are. No, I'm on my computer, but I guess Rod somehow showed up in the picture. Nice.
funny. It's
But now I see you. You're back, so that's okay.
okay.
So this morning I really got hooked into a thought, a concern for my grandsons.
Mhm.
And it just, it has so many different hooks. It's connected to so many different things within their family. And I was just like, what do I do? And should I be doing something? And I just really felt sort of broadsided by it. And how do I inquire? And is it true? And should I do something? And is it like, it just felt like this mountain. And then I thought, okay, I'll bring this up. But then I had a few minutes left before the meeting, and I started to listen to the third Fetter where I had left off. And it's the point at which you say, okay, just breathe, just feel yourself relax into gravity and feel the contentment. And it was so amazing because all of that just disappeared.
Yeah.
And so my question is, you know, on the one hand, there does seem to be places to inquire, which are helpful. On the other hand, this didn't seem to be one of them because it was just connected to so many things. So, you know, I've always liked to put my head in the sand. And so I'm just not sure when I turn from looking at something, is it because it's not productive, or am I just distracting and avoiding?
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and I have two things I want to say with. The first thing is that I understand your concern about bypassing, because it's basically what you're talking about when you say that you have a tendency to put your head in the sand and just like, not a problem at all. It's what a lot of people also do. There is no why, so I don't need to look at it. The moment that you connect with your body and you go from thought into a sensory experience, and it's really like you go like up here, and you just slow down, slow down, slow down. When you get into here, that is the place where you do not bypass, because you can't bypass. But what often happens, and that's the second thing I want to talk, that is what Todd usually says, that it's like there's this elephant in the room, but the moment that we really focus on it, it disappears. It's only there in the periphery. It feels like there's an elephant in the room. It feels like there's a huge issue about my grandson. It's a huge issue. I know it's a huge issue. But when you sit down and you really just connect with your body, it disappears. There's nothing. And that is what we often talk about when we talk about underlying beliefs. That when we have an underlying belief about something, we can't even define what that underlying belief is. It's more like a taste of a feeling, or a scent of a shape, or it's so undefinable. But we have that undercurrent of something not being okay. And that is why we divert and divert and divert and divert in our lives. But when we really just sit with it and trying to feel into that, but what is it that's not okay? We can't find anything because it's undefinable.
Well, there could be things like people should be different and they should do what I want them to do. You know, those kinds of beliefs that this is not good and that kind of thing. But the feeling, like, I tend to not feel strong feelings. And so this morning when I was like, it just really grabbed me, but it was so multi-leveled, so many things. And maybe this morning it was specific to my grandsons, but another time it might be my daughter or a son. You know, it seems to be the thing that if something's going to toss me around, it's going to be that. But so, you know, I was feeling the feeling, but I guess I was feeling it along with all the thoughts about it.
Mm.
So would you suggest, because your contentment sort of mini meditation thing really helped
Yes.
to let it all go and know there's nothing I can do. There's nothing to be done.
Yes.
But is that then the first thing, like, or is there sometimes just, okay, I will just sit with this feeling and let go of the thoughts?
Yes, it's the answer is yes, because it because it depends on what the need is in the moment. I just want to circle a bit back where you said that, but sometimes I want people to do something and not do something. You're working with that in the fourth and the fifth. So when you get to the fourth and the fifth fetter, you're sorting that out. So just leave that for now. The idea that you can change other people and that life would be better if Maureen was dictator and all that. If you just can leave that for now, and then we will work with that later. What you're really, really very clear about right now is exactly what you're asking. Should I sit with contentment, or should I sit with a feeling and detach the thought? And it's those two things that I would like for you to work with in the third fetter. So you're doing everything right. But you can do both. You can start out with sitting with the sensation in your body and let it grow, 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 be bigger, 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 detach the thought and see what is actually happening in the body right now.
Mm.
And the next thing you do when you're noticing how it moves about in the body and where it starts to dissolve, then you will automatically feel the contentment. It's not something that you actively need to look for, because it's the only thing that's there. Underneath all that drama, there's just contentment. So that will automatically appear when you detach the thought and you're just sitting with the sensory experience.
Okay. So that's what you would, because I don't have a lot of experience with sitting with the feeling, because I don't have a lot of strong feelings. Sometimes I'll sit with a small feeling, but it just doesn't seem to do anything.
But there's nothing wrong with small feelings.
Yeah, but sitting with it doesn't shift it. It just seems to.
You don't need to shift it.
Oh.
That's the whole point. You don't need to do anything about it. It's about that acknowledging the presence of a feeling that's there and really looking into what is this actually about. Is it a thought about something, or is it a sensory experience? Is it a contraction? When I think of my grandson, I get frustrated and fearful. Those are the words and the labels. Underneath the words and the labels, there's a contraction in the solar plexus. Okay, can I sit with a contraction in the solar plexus when I think about my grandson? And then you will very, very quickly feel that it dissolves, because it's nothing without the label.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
Yes, I'm looking forward to experiencing that.
And you judging a feeling to be a big feeling or a small feeling, that's just an opinion. It means nothing. A feeling is a feeling, whether it doesn't have any size anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm really looking forward to hearing next chapter.
Okay.
Do you have something you want to add?
Not terribly much. No. I think the only thing I was going to say is that, if it comes down to, it's like what we were talking about this morning, if there's a question of whether it comes down to, am I bypassing, or is it okay to just sit with the contentment? Try the sitting with contentment. And if you find that you have a similar issue that keeps coming back over and over again, that's like, okay, this is definitely connected to something bigger that needs my attention, or, my love, or whatever else is the sort of root cause of that, then start to address that one. But, a lot of times we have these kind of passing things that seem like a big deal in the moment. And then, as you said, when you get down to them, what's there is always contentment underneath once you take the labels off. So just being kind of aware of whether you are doing this sort of thing a lot as a way of not feeling? Like, are you doing this sitting with contentment just because you are trying to avoid feeling the way that you're feeling and trying to be in a state where I'm just okay, but then you keep finding that you're not okay, so you have to keep doing this over and over again? That's a good indication that maybe there's something else that needs a little bit more inquiry.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, love it. And
Thanks, Maureen.
I'm so happy that you're doing the curriculum. I'm really happy.
Oh, me too. Thank
Good.
you.
Just push that one first, and then we have Kristen.
And I apologize to everybody. I seem to be yawning a lot, and it has nothing to do with any of you. It was
No,
like
no,
after the
you're dehydrated.
oh, also that,
Yeah.
but also after the meditation, I was just like,
No,
like done. So
I didn't take that personal. I could try to take it personal, see if something happens. I think you're dehydrated.
I could be.
Mhm.
Fine.
Kristen,
Hi.
hi. Just need your camera on. Can we do that?
Sorry, say again.
Would you put your
I'm
camera?
on. Sure. I'm on my phone, so it's just. Okay. There it is.
There you are.
There.
There we go.
Kind of front. Okay. Let's see here. I can balance that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Spacey and ready for a nap.
Okay. So the area, all of this is extremely relevant. And the area of the body that seems to be saying something is the solar plexus area. And
The solar plexus area is
yeah,
the adrenals. It's the socialization. It's the part of the chakra that is about socialization. It's about how we are in the world in a way that is perceived as acceptable by our peers. So it's very much about doing right and doing wrong in the world. So you having an issue right now really correlates with you sitting and looking in your notes instead of feeling into your body.
I just wanted to write that down, how we are in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that may well be true. However, when I inquire into that, I always find for sure I want it to go away. I always find that there's something wrong. And then I encounter, you said something, and I did write it down, and I do want to refer to it, about, you said it's not about the guilt. However, okay, two questions. So it seems important, and it has been, to see what that sensation is saying, seems to be saying. And it has all sorts of stuff. And then I peel that off. And then when it comes down to it, what seems to be there is just that I'm not allowed to not have a thought, because if I don't have a thought, then I'm like literally, I have this arranged with the existence of mother, of my mom, and which is no different than the existence of self. So if I don't have a thought, neither exist. And then so then there is, it seems like there's guilt
I don't need
in
that.
that.
Mhm.
So
So
it
can you
seems like there's
rephrase
guilt.
that?
Yeah,
The
I just need that
existence of-
again. If I don't have a thought, I don't exist.
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, kind of like at the very bottom of this, if I don't have an idea about it any longer, then mom doesn't exist. And simultaneous to that, I don't exist. And there does seem to be this guilt, or like I'm not allowed, or it's like, and then thoughts, okay, now I'm bypassing, you're not like you're not paying attention to. Oh, and I have this also overlaid, that same thing with my son. It seems like it's exactly what you said. There's an elephant in the room that isn't being addressed. And then when I go to investigate it, I can't find it. And then that seems like a bypass. Like, okay, I'm not paying attention again. Yeah. So it's the same. I experimented with it just now and realized that it's the same at the bottom of it. It's like heretical to not have them exist or take it seriously or something like this. It's like you have to think. Yeah.
But what I would like for you to do now when we're done is to listen to the lesson about ego death. Because you are absolutely spot on when you say that if I don't have a thought, I don't exist. That is the ego that is talking. Because the ego only exists in thought. And when we start to dissolve the ego, there's a lot of fear that comes up. And the fear is, in my opinion, the way that I perceive it, is that it's always tied into areas that needs to be acknowledged and needs to be seen before we let go of the separate self. So it's perceived as something, and usually get the label as something negative, that the ego is negative. The ego is something bad. In our opinion, we talked about this morning, in our opinion, it's not. The ego is just very one-directional, pointing at, excuse me, at something that needs to be appreciated. So when you say that the voice of mother and the voice of that resentment and that contraction and that correcting judgmental voice, it's there. I would say that until that has been appreciated for what it has contributed to in your life, it shouldn't be let go of. Until that has happened, you will just project a judgmental voice into you, how you are a mother towards your son, or how you are a partner towards your husband, or how you are a friend towards your friends. Does it make sense?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Leela, wonderful Leela, has just put the link into the chat. So you have the link about ego death in the chat right now. And then when you have seen that, listen back to this part of the conversation that we have, because what I would like to say, so it's in no uncertain terms, is that there's nothing bad with the ego. The ego serves a purpose. Being selfish and self-centered and borderline narcissistic, it serves a purpose. If you your entire life have never learned how to feel a boundary, you focusing on your boundaries is important before you let go of the separate self. It's that Is that working with the yeah, the sense of self for the no self, if I can say it like that? Do I make sense?
Yeah, I didn't, like in my question, I wasn't coming across resentment and critical voice. It's like more stripped back than that. I don't remember using those words or finding that. It's just like so simple. It's just that a thought creates everything. And I'm not allowed to not have a thought. It's just sitting on that
But
precipice.
who is not allowing you to have a thought? You said mother. And if mother has raised you in a way where you're not allowed to have a thought, there is resentment towards mother.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean,
I'm sorry.
that's not what I mean at all. I mean that I might have said it incorrectly. I'm not allowed to not have a thought. That's the taboo. That's heresy.
Who's
Because
not
it
allowing you?
dissolves.
Yeah, but who's not allowing you? Who is deciding that you're allowed or not allowed?
Well, that I have tied up in it, like seems like it's mom, because if I don't have a thought, then I just then she's not a mother. She's not even anything. It's just complete. So it just seemed, this is just how how to language it. It seemed that if I don't have a thought, then it's just like taboo to not have a thought, because then she doesn't exist. I don't exist as I thought. I mean, it's so basic. But then when you talked about the guilt, like guilt is tied in there. But then you said, this is what piqued you said it's not about the guilt. But I had caught like a little fragrance of guilt, and then it just like couldn't be, I couldn't quite see what this is exactly. Something about guilt. It seems like it's in there, in this movement, so to speak, of like whether to exist or not exist. In thought, I exist. In thought, she exists, but I'm not allowed to not have a thought. And it seems like she is saying that. It seems like, it's just an image of her, but
do you see that the image you have of mom that does not allow your thought is just your thought? Do you see it's a thought talking and thinking about a thought?
oh yeah, that's seen. I'm just describing how it shows up. It's seen that that's a thought. In this, so maybe there's just no, I don't know. I guess maybe I don't know what the question is. Just
I'm still sorry.
Yeah, no, you've
Well,
had,
I'm still hung up on this idea of a taboo.
yeah.
And who is creating this taboo? And do you mean that it's like around you, with the people around you, that it's socially unacceptable to just be kind of feeling like there is no self because there is no thought about you or family members or any of that? Is that what you mean by taboo?
yeah, it's just the best. I don't know what I mean. It just it feels that way. Like don't you dare not put me into existence. Don't you dare not. Don't you dare dissolve this.
But it's
Yeah,
sorry, you're going.
No, go
No,
ahead.
no, you're
Well,
going.
well, is it because you feel like you're
because it would be irresponsible. It would be like
Yeah.
irresponsible. That's the little voice that I get about son, and then about mom, it's like more like everything is built on this. Don't you dare. It's just so funny actually how it's just the most that it just seems like it comes down to this. And that it does feel taboo to just allow it it does seem taboo to not think it into existence. It really does. Yeah.
I get with your son how you have that feeling of, like, so what I was going to say before you said irresponsible, I was going to say, does it feel like an abdication of responsibility? Which obviously it does, because there's this idea that you have to be Kristen and you have to be mom with the defined roles that you have set about for yourself and society has set. And you have this idea that if you aren't playing out this role that you believe that you have been playing out for all this time, that you're then not going to be able to do the things that it takes to be a mother in a world, and that all of a sudden you're just going to become a shadow figure, just kind of, floating through walls and stuff, because you're not really there, because you're not thinking about yourself in some way. And
I mean, I couldn't even follow any of that. What it more feels like, I couldn't. What it more feels like is that it's heretical not to pay attention to this. The elephant in the room that says something's wrong. If it's not taken as and then if I look at that and then that dissolves, it's like, what, I just imagined the whole thing up.
yes,
Which I basically did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mom was great. Mom was great. Mom gave you lots of love. You have only ever been appreciated and revered. Everything else is thought-based. And anybody that hears this, if you feel, well, she does not know what the fuck she's talking about, write it down. Write it down. You have an underlying belief about what the truth is supposed to be. And if that feels like, no, but I will be cheating. If I believe that, I will be cheating from all the suffering that I have gone through. I need some kind of price for all the suffering I've gone through. Write it down. All that is part of that patchwork that we have built up underneath us. And that is what is at play when we talk about no self. And that is important to look into. It's not true, but it's important to look into, because it contains part that has not been acknowledged. And everything needs to be acknowledged, accepted, to be understood. So when you have when you said that if I don't have a thought, I don't exist, really sit with that sentence. Because you clearly feel cheating of something, if that is the case. And that is interesting.
I'm not sure that that's what I mean. What I mean is I don't exist as how I thought I did. It's just like literally I bring things into existence by thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
I make it so.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't.
I just want to emphasize with the 7 Fetter, when we say that I bring into thought, what I think of comes into existence. I just want to make it very clear that that is a 7 Fetter, something out of nothing. It's still nothing. Even though it feels like it's something, it's only how it feels. And it feels like that because it needs to be felt. The moment, the moment it doesn't needs to be felt anymore, it's got no charge anymore. And then you can think, Mom loved me. Mom always loved me. Mom revered me, because it hasn't got any charge anymore. So even though you were sold to slavery by Mom, you can have that thought because you have worked through it, that there's no charge in it anymore.
No charge in what?
In the thought. Yeah, about her and how she was and how your life was with her. And
oh yeah, like any thought, it's seen that any thought just creates the whole thing, that it seemed just that it's like the entire thingness is a misunderstanding, but it's just a complete,
Oh, relax, relax, sweetheart. You're
God.
trying so hard. You must be exhausted. You're trying so hard. You're trying so hard. Let go, let go, let go. The thing you're trying to hold on to, it's like water. The more you try to hold on, the more it just goes through your fingers. Can you be in a body where you can't find the question and you can't find the solution? What Maureen talked about before, about contentment. Can you put yourself in a position in a full day where you just, whatever thought you have, you kind of like, thank you very much, contentment. And then you just leave it. Just leave it. Because you need a break. I know that there might be a truth about forcefulness, that you need to pull yourself together and do. But I think that the opposite would be, you know, an idea to try out.
So the same thing, I just come up with that same thing, and it doesn't appear through trying at all. It's just seen that if I have a thought, so what you just said was, oh, thank you very much. I'm just going to go, or you said contentment. It's the same mechanism. It's like the message is, I'm not allowed to do that. And it's not a doing, but that's not allowed.
I'm bringing in resentment again because you just had it. When you watch the recording back, look at your face when you say contentment. You have very, very clear signs around your nostrils about resentment. So there's something in there for you about resentment that you don't. And even when I brought it up earlier, you was like, it's definitely not about resentment. I did not say that. It's not about that. And you just had signs again about it. I really, really think it would be an idea to look into that.
Yeah, what I said earlier was I hadn't said resentment.
So, but your
I
face,
had just,
your face.
I had,
When you talked about mom, there was so much resentment.
So just going back when you said, oh, thoughts, thank you very much. And then going back to contentment.
Yeah.
Then you said that there was something about resentment, and I'm not quite, how I experience it is, again, just like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. That's,
Who's saying
something
that?
like this.
But who's saying that you're not allowed? Who is there to tell you that you're not allowed?
The I.
Who is that? Exactly.
I just had the thought, but aren't I supposed to be figuring out finding the resentment? And I'm not doing that. Still not doing that.
Exactly.
So I was tasked with that.
Yeah,
Did I find,
exactly.
and I didn't just spend that moment finding the resentment. Was I supposed to be doing that?
You're
Supposed to be comes up a lot.
No, you're not supposed to do anything. Exactly what I said before, that I really think that forcefulness is a pattern. And I would invite you to look into that pattern of forcefulness, that you do honestly believe that you can make things happen and you can't. And it's the most frustrating part when we are people. Some of us have been taught that we need to do. It's who we, it's what we say, it's what we can, it's what we do. That is what counts. Who we are doesn't count for anything. And we think that we can do our way out of this. We think that we can make things happen. And we have a full life to prove of that. We have career, we have lots of money in the bank account, we have position in society, we have a family, we have lots of things we can brag about that we did. But it's just a delusion. You cannot do yourself out of this. You cannot make it happen. You can only let it happen. And it will happen when it happens. You can't do it. It's more about letting go for you, Kristen. And all the thoughts that you are having right now, but if I let go, then you have a full list in your mind right now. What will happen if you just let go? Write that down.
Oh, it just boils down to just what I said, that it's actually not a full list. It's just that it's just like, if just to verbalize it, so is just that I'm not allowed to. It's just like something just seems to say that. So the question was, who is saying that? But then there was just so much more. There was like, oh, resentment, and then there's this forcefulness, and then there's this make things happen, and success, and I actually couldn't really follow that, all of that.
Completely fine. Everything is recorded. You can go back to this and watching it over and over and over. I think we should leave it at that.
Yeah.
And go back to listening to the recording. And I would like to hear next time what happened when you let go of things and you were looking at it. What was your belief that would happen? What was that voice in you telling you if you just let go of things? Because that voice that is not allowing you, it's just a thought. But that underlying belief that is the foundation of that thought is interesting to follow.
The underlying belief that's the foundation of that thought.
Yeah, that you're not allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you have anything?
Thank you.
I think we're good.
Very
now.
good. Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Kristen.
Kristen. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
And it is Anne.
Hi, Ann.
Hello, my friend. Good to meet you.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. So my thing is I had clarity coming years and years ago, and before that I was a lawyer and I was making money and no problem. And then I came to Sweden and I started to coach, and things were up and down, but it was like flowing. And now I discovered that phase of having emotion and worthiness and fear. I discovered that I was a minefield of fear.
Mm.
And it's like being between the rock and the hard place, because I can see that it's just like thinking hanging around, no thinker, no doer in a way, but maybe I have a blind spot of something. I don't know, because that fear is very physical. But then I end up having, that's why I love what you said about like rituals and the further of like having avoidance in doing, going up in the morning and doing stuff a certain way, and actually I do nothing. I stay around the TV and something. And so I'm not doing anything. I'm not making money. And I had so much resentment against myself. And then I discovered that I was like a trust issue with me from childhood, being lazy or not doing, or being in sabotaging myself. And in the middle of this, I can see that there's no door, that it's just done. But the reality is like, and that I make it up in a way, and people are very nice, but I have like my landlord that is asking me for the rent repeatedly. And before I see that I was, even when I was a lawyer, just when I look back, I can see that I wasn't doing nothing. Thing just happened. Situation came and I made more money and then I had that position and then I was good at court and then I was good at coaching and blah, blah, blah. It came. And now that apparently I've so much more clarity, I cannot support myself. It's like, it's like, I don't understand why I'm not able in a way to, having this flowing. So I think maybe there's something I don't see and I want help on this. Because I'm just like, it's a very weird thing of, I can feel in the body when the fear comes and it's just fear and things, but it's like the situation around is just like feeling like that movie that it's every day it's back to the beginning.
Groundhog Day, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't get out and now, but it's getting more and more frightening because there was one rant, two rant, and then
Yeah. The first thing I want to say is that clearly there's something about expectation in it, right? You have this idea that you have an expectation that if you just let go of everything will just, flow by itself and there will be money on the account and it's a very new age way of thinking. And it is true that when we are forceful, that there's like that contracting energy where we are very narrow-sighted in seeing opportunities opening up, which means that we don't have opportunities of other types of income.
But if I can just say, I see that because I look back, but at the same time, I want to do something and I really would like to express something. And I like doing what I do, like coaching and stuff. But when I start trying to do it, I have such like a weight of self-judgment that I'm not going to make it, or it's not going to be enough anyway. And so it's like I retract into having a glass of wine and watching TV or something, or saying I'm going to meditate and find clarity. Because each time I go to my office to do something, it's like, oh, I have to wash my hair first, or not now, I have to eat, I'm not clear enough, or I need to meditate, or I need to do something else. And
again it's about the expectation, and you have that expectation that things need to be in a certain way, and if you are in a certain way, it would have a certain outcome. That's not how it is. You're trying to force something into a box where a certain outcome will come. It's a bit like, if I go to the gym, I will lose weight. If I eat less, I will lose weight. If I just let go of all my, desire for money, I will earn money. It's like that there's like that fixed way of things that is just not how reality is. And then when you say, but when I was a lawyer, I didn't do much and money just came. It's about putting yourself in a position where flow can happen. Being well educated, having a good job, you will automatically have flow happening. You know what I mean? If you sit on a desert island, you won't have that many clients. So it's about putting yourself in a position where flow can happen. Because otherwise it's that new age idea that I can sit on a desert island and money will flow into my account. How that is not...
but I don't even think that. That's the point. I don't think that, and I resent it. But it's like I can't start. You know what I mean? I'm very frustrated because I want to do something.
Yeah.
and it happens that I'm just like moving in slow motion or in quicksand, and then I end up, it's another day and I've not started anything, and I want to do
Because
I love
you
to
have,
do.
yeah, because you have an expectation of what that do is.
Yeah, but then what?
Well, I
Yeah.
would also ask, just to take a slightly different tack on it. Do you feel like there's something that's holding you back from doing anything? Like if you have that feeling that I
Yeah.
want to do this thing, I'm for some reason not engaging in it. I'm drinking wine and watching Netflix or meditating or whatever.
Yeah. Mm.
What does it feel like is this thing which is holding you back?
Mm.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. I felt held by some kind of, yeah, it's some kind of self judgment or something that it's not quite right now, and I cannot do it now. I'm going to be tired or not good or whatever.
Mm.
It's something, some reason not to start. And
Yeah.
it's very, very tricky because I know it's just thoughts and stuff, but it feels like in the body.
Yes.
I was just
And
gonna
I just,
Yes.
what is happening in the body? What is the where are you feeling it? What's the what you would call the emotional tone around that feeling?
it's mostly in the chest now, chest and solar plexus, and it feels like anxiety, like it can feel like a burn or heaviness or yeah, something like this.
And when you feel into that sensation, does something come up with that? If you just, were to close your eyes and feel that
Yeah.
sensation and
So
bring,
when I try to sit with it, to meditate on it,
Yep.
it's like opening the hell of the door of hell. It's like so much. It's between thinking and feeling, but hellish stuff that is so heavy. It's heavy in the body. It's like I'm and in the mind as well. It's like not going anywhere, and it's doom. It's like a horror movie or something, and it's quite kind of hard to like to take space around and let it go through. What I do as much as I can, and then I know because it washes away when I stand up, but when I'm in it, it's like what I've seen clearly, and I can see, and it's like I'm in that gray zone, and all I can see in front of me is that hellish. So I kind of try to avoid it. It's I don't know. I feel like
of course,
You're
of
so
course.
clear. You're wonderfully clear.
Yeah. And are these hellish visions and feelings something that seems to be something that's going to happen in the future if you do this thing? Is it a fear?
mostly the fear now is clearly related to the money thing, which I didn't have before. But now it's like, oh, I will have no money, and I will have cats, a lot of cats. I have a big house, so I won't be able to keep my house and my cats and the same. And I know that it doesn't work like this. So I kind of, okay, I'm going to let that wash around me, but it's the next day it's back, and I don't feel like I have untangle anything, that I'm moving in it. Whatever I do, I feel like, yeah, do or not do, or it's like a Rubik's Cube,
Yeah.
you know? I can never get
Mm.
the faces on the same color.
Well, you're feeling into this sensation, which seems to be so powerful and so um uh so uncomfortable that you can't, I mean, I applaud that fact that you're trying to, you're doing your best to sit with it, to see these whatever visions are coming up. But can you sit with the possibility that those things are true? Just as a test, you know, because right now you're kind of braving out the storm of, you're kind of riding through it, like all of this stuff is coming. I don't want it to be true. I don't want to think about it. I know on one level it's not true, but still. But can you feel into what if it was? Because there's a resistance to the idea that any of this stuff might happen. And so you
No,
can't,
no, yeah, I
yeah,
understand what you say. I do, and I know because I've been in situation like this before, that if it all goes to hell,
yep,
at some point I will like end up like, and I know that position in complete surrender in a way, and letting, and something else will come, and it's going to be another day. I know that too, and I know it's real, and I know, that's why in that reality of thing, I just don't sit and wait for a better day. I would like to have like an impulse or something to do something and to resolve the situation. It's no way. Even if I go into the story and try to resolve into the story as if it's real, and it's real in a way, it's real because I see it, and I can see that there is no one there, but it's like a thought that comes and say, but who is going to take care of me if there is no one? It's very funny thought. Okay, there is no one, but then now I'm on my own, so I'm going to be tortured.
there's still a belief in some sort of separation there that needs to,
Yeah.
if you have on one hand this, because it seems like there's kind of two things going on. Like on one hand, it's almost like you're waiting for that push of inspiration or motivation to do the thing that you to know, like, this is the flash of what I'm supposed to be doing, and have that happen. And then on the other hand, you also have this fear and this kind of pulling back, that's like holding back the rein, that's keeping you from actually going forward and doing anything. Oh, that is the doctor. I'll call them back afterwards. So I think the two things have to be looked at. So on one hand, if you have this idea that you are supposed to be waiting for this thing, this inspiration to do this thing, then like as you were saying with expectations, that do you need to have this external force or this internal force pushing you to do this thing, or is it in fact that it's this second thing, this pulling back, that's actually sort of the hindrance to keep you from having any sort of movement in any direction? And
Yeah.
so what is it that is at the root of that fear? What is it? Because you've said you've been through situations in the past and you've gotten through it. Things have recycled, new opportunities open up, things happen. But the root of this fear still hasn't been addressed. There's still something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in it, it's I felt into it is a sort of helplessness, a discovery of really nothing of of ability of the separate me that would do anything. Completely helpless. I would be there, and I would be guilty, and I would be ashamed. You see that helplessness that is there, and I can see that is precisely what is keeping the gate of. But it's for some reason it's still pushing on and it's helplessness. It's complete helplessness.
You remember what we talked about this morning about helplessness?
Yeah,
being back, because I was thinking, I was thinking of that with that feeling of realizing being utterly alone.
Yeah.
That there's but if there's not a self, then there's no one to save me. And then picking it now with the helplessness. Could you say something about that?
I think you just did. Could you elaborate on that?
But you did it so well. So it was because this morning we had a talk about the helplessness. What we have very different experiences of helplessness, and where in my experience of helplessness, it's that it's that feeling that there is absolutely no one. There might be adults in the room, and there might be someone that could help, but they are not. So it's that utter feeling of utterly aloneness, utterly left, and in that a helplessness that I cannot do my way out of this, because there's no one. There's literally no one to grab or to save or to, and the looking for someone who can help. It's not there. Where
Yeah.
Todd, where Todd's yeah, go on.
Well, I was gonna say, and I've, you know, I recognize that I've had situations where I recognize the same thing, but you had asked, what would be what would be lost if you were
Exactly.
to get rid of that feeling of helplessness. And so when I was trying to feel into it of what that would actually be like, what actually comes up is that there can be in situations where that helplessness is like, as a child, you have to get your needs met somehow when you aren't able to provide for them yourself. And so there is something about the, like, you know, we look at like babies and puppies and things, and there's this cute helplessness about them that makes us want to then reach out and help them. So their defense, basically, or their way of getting what they need, is their helplessness. And so there is something to be said for if you are using that helplessness as like a defense to hope that somebody else is then going to
Step
step
forward.
forward
Yeah.
and take pity on
Yes.
you, help pull you up.
Yeah, exactly. Where if we have that hope that somebody's gonna see us and somebody's gonna save us, then the helplessness is helping to that,
Yeah.
to becoming aware of that hope that is lying underneath.
And without that, you have to recognize your own resilience.
That
and
there is no one.
Yeah, there is no one there, but that you are able to, on this level of speaking,
Be
be
the
there.
one. Yeah, be the one who saves you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, maybe I'm too much in the head, because I see that exactly what you said. The helplessness I even touched into when I was a kid, and how I was like even pushing against my mother, whoever would try to console me, because that was my only way to have power. Out of that helplessness was to say no to my own gratification in a way. So it was a way to punish myself. I was punishing the other or whatever. But I can see that this is just not, I see no hook to anything. It's just like thought, old patterns in a way that are here.
But
And I see no hook into me. It's just like, and I have so much love and compassion for that as well. But it's maybe I have an expectation that it would move.
yeah, it's here right now as an opportunity for you to see that when you are sitting here and there is that helplessness, and you have the autonomy in you now, knowing that you can stand on your own feet, but you also have the other side. You also have the loving mother and the protective father in you, that you can save you. You do know the direction. You do know what needs to be done. You know that when you pop open the wine and sit in front of Netflix, that there is a parent in there that going like, but sweetheart, we need to look at this. We need to, there is somebody saving you. It's not like you are utterly alone. As adults, we're not helpless. We have the full scope.
Yeah, I think that I took the not doing anything and waiting as a buffer as well, where before I was into the doing, and I would not let me just retract into not engaging in life, because that's what it is. When I go on me from meditation or whatever, it's like a way to not facing the fear. But it's back with that minefield of fear that I feel when I go out of those avoidant patterns, because it's like I have avoidant patterns, or I will surcompensate by trying to do something and find a job, and I feel that they're
both of them,
related.
yeah, but both of those are the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I see.
Do and not
Yeah.
feel. It's the same as going like, I'm not doing anything and not feel. Those two
Yeah,
are the
exactly.
same because you're
The
not
same.
feeling.
That's the thing. I see that it's the same, but I cannot see what position to take if I'm not taking those two.
Feeling. It's the middle way. It's the feeling.
Yeah.
Both of them are pointing into the same thing that you're avoiding. And that is what Todd was trying to do with going into that sensation in the body.
The one I do with, but it like, so I have to go on and into that, in that middle of feeling, but I feel like I'm waiting for something as well when I do that.
Yes. And that waiting for something to happen or something to click is another diversion.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
So it's very difficult.
well, also, I'm curious, when you're doing that, you're sitting with the sensation, you're having all of these apocalyptic hell visions coming up. Do you find that it's the visions that are then reinforcing that sensation and causing more of them? Like, because usually if we have a sensation, right, when we sit with it and you start noticing it, it doesn't usually last all that long. It's not like you're going to sit with this discomfort for hours and hours on end if you're not having other thoughts that are reinforcing it. And so I'm wondering if you have this kind of fear sensation, this tension, this contraction in the chest, you start feeling it, and then you have thoughts about, and I have all these cats and I'm not going to have an income and I'm going to end up homeless. And then that is reinforcing it. And it's just causing this to spiral, into more thoughts, into more, yeah, it's the feedback loop, more thoughts, more sensation, more thoughts, more sensation. So can you, instead of paying so much attention to the hellscape visions that are coming out, just keep coming to the actual raw sensation and not all the stuff that seems to be pulling out from it?
Yeah, no, I understand. That's what I do, because the thing with the cat, I've had it so many times that I can like unengage it. But it's a weird thing, because it's about the sensation and stuff that feel, it's not very clear, it's not the story, but they feel like very, very deep and contracted. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not pleasant to stay with it. But I stay, and it doesn't last long because my nervous system cannot not handle for more than I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of it anyway, and it goes completely after. But I'm left back at the beginning
What is
from
it,
it, and I don't know what to do.
what is it that makes it unpleasant? How does it get that?
Yeah, I've been. It feels like contracting on the chest, maybe, and I've been trying to say, is it maybe pleasant? And I think it's unpleasant because it's just like, oh, I'll label it. And when I look closely, I can't see anything clearly. Anyway, it's just like it's raw
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And but it feels like when it washes away, it's like a bit of a relief. I feel like I'm going to be like in it forever, and it's not more of a landscape I will have for my life than just like sit with that bleh, or being stuck, or trying to do something, not do it. And even if that's the other thing, even if I find a job or I resolve the situation, which I always do in a way, it comes back because it's somehow
Because
unsolved.
yeah, it's not related to the job, or that's the newest
Yeah,
thing that shows up. There's a fear about something else, which is under the undercurrent of it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you have a great job and you become a multimillionaire, you're going to have that about something else. And then if
I
that
feel it.
solved, you'll have it about something else.
Yeah, and I feel it, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm not moving up with like finding making money for real and thing, because I know that whatever I do, it will come back because it's not seen thoroughly, and I can see that. And I was like kind of maybe since my situation came worse, that was a decision in a way that I wanted no more. I wanted to see clear to that and be done with it. I don't want the cycle to recycle again and again and again, because I know if I, as you say, even if I make millions, I'm going to feel the same about myself. Maybe I'm good, maybe I'm not good, and it's an ending mistrust of life in a way. I think.
Well, I was going to ask, have you tried actually talking to the sensation and asking into it, inquiring into it?
I've been trying of asking, what can I do for you?
And that's good. You could also ask, you know, if it has a message, if there's something there, because there's something underneath it, which, you know, we don't know enough about you to know. Only, you know, and you might not even have a clear picture of it, but there's something going on that has been sort of the default state to protect you from something.
Yeah.
So if you you know, quiet, close your eyes, focus onto it, breathe into the sensation, and appreciate. But and so we're not asking as because we want it to like go away, like, okay, here's a piece of candy, now leave. Like we actually want to ask it so that we can do what it needs, but it might have a, you know, a message for us, and appreciate the fact that it has been there trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe. It's a fear because it's trying to protect you. Appreciate it, love it, feel gratitude for it, and then see what comes out of it, what messages come
and
up.
ask it.
Exactly.
I really appreciate you being here. What would you like to tell me? As if it's another being or another person, that you always put me in this position. Okay, I hear you. What exactly is it you want me to do? So you ask into it, you know, as if it's a living entity on its own, but you do it out of appreciation, not for it to go away. You want it to stay forever, because
last time I did that, the most of it I got, it was like when I was a kid, and I was like my mother was remarried, and I had to ask for everything and justify the why I would watch TV tonight and and my grades were never good enough. So the way to protect myself was to not have anything to ask, or not engage, be on away in my room, and try to reduce interaction as much as I could, because I could feel that the man was really like not in charge of his own emotions, so he was not predictable. And I retracted into not engaging as much as I could, and not talking, because it was like it would cost me more to get what I wanted in bargain than to not even go after it. If I wanted to watch a movie, but it would be too much of a hassle to get the right to do it. And maybe it's like that thing that was like getting me from expressing myself in life. Yeah, but I can see that, and it's a past feeling, and I have a lot of love for it, and
appreciate.
Why is it still?
Really
yeah, a position. Yeah, because it was actually working. It was really, really keeping me safe.
Yeah.
But and now I see that it's. So I've just to wait for it to solve itself.
No, because solve itself, then there's a hope that it's gonna disappear. Yeah. We want you never to have it to disappear, because it's a part that was not listened to. Now you just told the story about it, so it was a part that was not listened to. It has never been developed because there was no space in your family construct for that to be developed. So you need to let it develop now. You need, when it comes up and ask for having a need met, then you meet the need. I can recommend.
Yeah, I understand, because I was What?
I can recommend you to watch the, I think it's in the second Fetter. I have 2 interviews with Ted where he goes through a very, very rough detoxification of old beliefs, where he comes into starting to ask, what can I do for you? How can I support you? How can I help you? Because he never had the chance as a child to have his needs met. So he,
Yeah, I've watched it. That's why I was asking this question. I watched that video. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I can see there was resentment when I was growing, because that was like actually keeping me from doing whatever I wanted
Yeah.
to achieve. So that was the resentment that came on top of it. So it was like contracted into.
And do you also see the importance then for that part never to disappear? You can never ever wish that to dissolve, because then you're just like your mom. You need to
Okay.
really, really wish for it to be there. You need for it to ask you to be met over and over and over, because that's the only way that you can meet the need that wasn't met then, but you're meeting it now.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So really what Todd said before, you're not doing any of this to give it a candy for it to go away. No. You ask it, so you really relate to it, and you love it, and you appreciate it, and you want it to be here.
yeah, that's
And then the only thing that I would like to add on top of that is, once you do all of that, and if you're having an issue where, say, like you said, you had this issue with him where you felt like you didn't want to express yourself, it was just easier to deny your own needs and, go off to your room. If you're still seeing that same pattern now, where instead of putting yourself out and getting the job, doing whatever you think you should be doing, if you are still using that same sort of strategy, that you worked then, take a moment to just come into the body, come into the room, and ask, is he still here right now? Is that strategy still actually relevant in this situation? Because the feeling might still be there, that initial pullback, but look to see if that is still a relevant situation in this strategy.
Yeah, because I've done that, but not in situ with when it arises. So he has not that kind of power that you say you're saying now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you then are in the situation with it, and you feel that coming up and asking, I know he's not here, the need might still be there for this to be acknowledged. Then you stay with it and acknowledge it, because it's not there for it to go away. It's there to be seen.
Yeah.
But it's good to keep recognizing that, the things that happened to us in the past are not currently happening right now.
Yeah.
And the way that we
exactly.
engaged with them in the past isn't necessarily relevant anymore. But we use, as you say, the copy paste of, well, I did this then, so I'm going to keep doing that in every even borderline similar situation. I'm going to keep using the same strategy. And there are times when it's functional and it's helpful, and other times where it's very dysfunctional. And but we really have to clearly look at, okay, why am I, reacting in this way? Why am I behaving in this way in this situation? Does this seem skillful and pertinent, or is this just an old thing that is still happening unnecessarily? And can I react differently? Can I respond differently in this situation?
Yeah, I had a lot of kind of bypassing, because I saw clearly all the stuff, and I was like completely ignoring all those mechanisms and strategies that were still at play inside. And I think that's why they came up with so much fear and things to be seen, because I was like completely trying to ignore them with arrogance and
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think it's really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
I love how much you have seen and worked with this stuff already. So keep that up. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I need to straighten out that leg.
You better straighten out that
I
leg.
think
then.
I better straighten it. I have no idea where to put it, but I'm gonna do that.
Let's keep it.
Let's keep it.
That is Beth.
So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi,
Need
can you
phone.
hear me?
Hi, Beth.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
Beth.
Here we go. Hi, Beth. Bye, Beth.
Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to report back
Yes.
about I watched the toxic starting point video from beginning to end yesterday, which is an achievement. And
You need a medal for that.
I felt very pleased with myself. And I went off to the gym afterwards, sort of, yeah, to do my looking after the body. I was quite, I sort of thought I was going to be a chameleon, but when you were listing the things, the chameleon, I didn't really relate to it as much as the passive aggressive bully. So I was quite surprised, and maybe I think you answered a question I put in the YouTube text box, that you can overlap.
Absolutely.
So it sort of was quite interesting. The rest of the day I was trying to work on my artwork, and as usual I found it very difficult to focus. And the part in the video where you were talking about, you know, there's always something else to do, I experienced that like full on most of the time when I'm trying to work on my artwork. And I get really despondent by it because of it. And then I sort of, I'd done some things, but I'd been listening to something else at the same time, and it's okay. I did work quite focused for the afternoon. But then come the evening, I started feeling really despondent and upset and quite emotional and quite depressed, which I haven't felt for a long time, even though I've always been struggling with the, you know, lack of attention. And I felt really, I can still feel it a little bit. There's a sort of feeling behind the heart, sort of really sad, achy, empty feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, well, I won't ever get anywhere. And it's no use even dreaming or thinking of anything I want to do, because I'm not going to get there. And you can feel I'm emotional still.
Yes.
So I got up and I went to the studio today, and it was okay. I just tidied up and I've done some things. Didn't put, you know, wasn't. So I guess I just feel quite vulnerable and emotional. So I just wanted to let you know, tell you about it.
Thank you. Can you be in a body that has that undertone of sadness and despair, and knowing that no matter what I do, I will never achieve what I wanted to achieve with my mind, and no matter what I'm striving for? Can you stay with that? Because if we can't, it's when we start to do, and that's just a diversion.
Yeah, I can. Doesn't feel great, but I can. And I was listening to what you're talking about in the rest of this session. I know that's what's advocated.
Do you know why it's advocated?
I guess to see through it, Does he that it's not real?
Yeah, or it's the first step of it is to be with it. We have such a rush in life about only wanting to feel good, only wanting to be happy, only wanting to feel amazing, and the body is pain-free, and the sun is always shining. It's basically like the ego just want inhale, 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 inhale. Never want to exhale. Only want, the heart to expand, never contract. Only want the lungs to expand, never to contract. And it's just not part of life.
No.
So there's a underlying belief about that expansion is good, contraction is bad. And that is minimizing the experience when we have it. Expansion is great, contraction is equally great. Being happy is great, being depressed is equally great. We only develop when we have resistance, when we only have obstructions, when we have when things are not going our way. It's the only time in life we develop, because we're very, very lazy creatures.
I think perhaps the constantly wanting to do something else all the time.
That is a diversion.
It's
a diversion from how you feel right now.
Yeah.
So for you to allow yourself to feel miserable, slightly depressed, very, very, close to tears all the time, and like a little, self-pity thundercloud. That's great. It's amazing. Go for it.
Yeah, I guess sometimes there is self-pity.
And self-pity is great. Self-pity is great. Wallowing in self-pity is amazing. If you don't do it once in a while, when would you ever find out how that feels? You will just have an idea, no, self-pity is bad, I'm not gonna wallow.
Yeah, no, I do feel all those things. But I mean, I can, okay.
Because when you're there where you are right now, and you experience how it is to be depressed, how it is to be slightly sad, and you're there, and you find out that, okay, when I'm like this, my paintings looks in a certain way, my thought is in a certain way, the way I respond to other people is in a certain way. Okay, I've been in this room, I've seen all of it. Next time that you're looking, that you feel great, and you start to have a hint of that self-pity, depression coming, you're not going to fight it anymore. You're just going to go, oh, I'm now going into a period where my paintings look like that. My conversations are going to be like that. My thoughts are going to be like that. You've been in the room. There's nothing to fear.
I mean, with my painting, and because the focus is always, this ADHD brain thing.
Yeah.
It's told I have. That always feels like it's completely hindering any me getting anywhere.
Where are you going?
Where we're going?
Yeah, you said you're getting anywhere. It hinders you from getting anywhere. Where exactly are you going?
Well, completing paintings and focusing solely on the work rather than listening to something else at the same time or watching something else. On Sunday, I was in the studio and I just was watching other people's videos, watching other people painting, when I was hoping that I would concentrate on my paintings. And I just think, oh God, not again. Or I just feel so frustrating.
It's about expectations again. Like we talked about before, it's about expectations, that you had expectations on how Sunday was going to pan out, you painting a lot. Instead, Sunday had all along was supposed to be the day where you watching all other people painting. If you had planned beforehand, on Sunday, I'm going to watch other people painting, you would have had a Sunday exactly like your expectations had been, and there would be no disappointment. Disappointment would happen because we have an expectation about something else.
I have a deadline for something.
So because you have a deadline, you think that that's, you know, changing expectation? You said, but I have a deadline, meaning that because I have a deadline, I cannot do inquiry to the way that you just talked about expectation because I have a deadline.
I have to get on with the work and be organized. But I'm not organized, and I'm not quick.
Are you ever?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I can be organized. I can be.
So can you also not be organized with equally much okayness?
No, because, well, I can, but I always want to be.
Only in the allotted time.
Yeah.
It's so funny with all the things we don't want. It's so funny with all the things we don't want. Okay, I'm now allowing to be disorganized between 12 and 3:30.
It's always like that. I'm always unfocused, thinking about something else and diverting. It's like, well, that's my life going to be just one great big diversion, and then it'll be.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm curious though. You're in the studio and you're primed that you're going to have a day of painting, and then next thing you know, you're finding yourself watching video after video of other people painting. You're jumping a big step there. So what was actually happening in the period between where I'm going into the studio to paint and then you open up the laptop or something or the TV and you start watching videos? What happened in between there?
It's other people can do it better than me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to do it, and I don't want to focus on it because then I'm going to have to focus on it. If I watch someone else, it's almost like I'm doing it by proxy by watching them.
Yeah, and your work is, I know from experience of being a musician and composer that the funny thing about it is before a piece or painting or something has begun, it has the potential of being an absolute masterpiece. And then as soon as you actually start doing it, then it starts to have a limitation to it. And it's like, and then once it's done, it is what it is. And it probably didn't live up to
they
what
rarely get finished because I start so many, and I surround myself with things to look like I'm really got lots going on.
Yeah.
But nothing's getting done.
Yeah, and why is that? What is the holdup from finishing something? Can you feel what that feels like and what would happen if you finished it and it didn't come out the way that you wanted it to be?
Well, it wouldn't get finished, so I could always say, "Oh, that's not finished." So
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
And what is that diverting you from having to feel? What is that keeping you from feeling? Well, it's just not finished. It could be really great if I put the time into it, but I would just much rather watch somebody else paint.
Attending to my own work, and I mean, I have improved. I'm more dogmatic. No, I'm more pragmatic about it a bit more.
It's good, but we're still missing what we're pointing to. There's an emotion. There's a feeling in the body or an emotional tone that comes with knowing that you did your best on something and it still didn't live up to your expectations of it.
Oh, well, I'm rubbish.
Well, okay. So what does being rubbish feel like?
Rubbish. Well, it's disappointing. I'm rubbish, and yet again I'll give up painting for a bit, but then I'll always come back to it.
Notice again, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So the giving up on painting is a way of not having to feel rubbish. But the rubbish isn't really a feeling. The rubbish is still a thought that you're projecting onto some other emotion or sensation that's appearing. So you have some feeling in the body, and then that has some thoughts coming up with it they get connected into feeling like, okay, this feels like something that I'm going to call rubbish. Well, I don't want to feel that. Okay, I'm feeling rubbish because I'm such a crappy painter. Well, then I'm just not going to do it anymore.
I'm not going
And
to
so
finish.
I'm not going to
gonna
finish. I'm not going to finish. I'm giving up. All of those
That
things.
feeling, I don't know. I can come up with a thought and a belief, but I don't quite know what the feeling in the body is. Although I'm feeling, I have this sort of awareness of this. I don't know what word to describe it as, but there's a sensation sort of behind my heart.
Mm.
I don't quite know how to understand what the feeling is.
It's okay. You don't have to have I mean, the conceptualization of it is not necessarily helpful. It's more about coming down to what's there, because all of that other stuff, the thoughts about me being a rubbish painter and I'm gonna not finish this one because it's gonna be crap anyway, and all that stuff, that's all a way of just getting away from being in that raw state that you can't even completely define. So what we were talking about with Anne is coming back to just being with that sensation and recognizing that in a very similar way, this is holding you back from doing things that you want to do. Because if you just sat with this sensation and then painted anyway, it's here, it can be here, but I'm going to paint because it's not saying anything about my painting abilities. It's not saying anything about the outcome of this particular painting. That's what's causing you to go, I'm going to watch some people who do it better and spend the next 6 hours watching videos of other people painting. It's to keep from feeling that, which you are then taking to mean a whole bunch of other things about you that aren't necessarily true.
Well, that I'm no good and good. You know, I can do little things like cards and stuff, but I can't do painting. I won first prize in a painting competition.
But it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about that. It's about that. An opinion you have about you as a painter has nothing to do with the painting. We know an amazing painter, and they are revered and held in very, very high regard. They don't see themselves as a great painter. They do not understand what all the fuss is about, because I know that I can do better than that. And everybody look at the paintings and going, masterpieces, masterpieces. And the painter still sit with the feeling, that's a fucking lie.
No.
I can do better. So there's you, by not finishing your paintings, you completely avoid that feeling that our friend is standing in all the time.
I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know if it's any. I don't know how to tell if it's any good. I don't know.
That's the whole point. It doesn't matter.
No. Good is objective.
It's an
subjective.
opinion.
Subjective.
Yeah, subjective.
Sorry, good is an objective fact. You are either really good or you really suck at painting. No, it's subjective. Everybody who looks at it. I'm telling you, I'm really spacey today. Everything that everybody who looks at is going to bring to it something completely different, and they're going to have their opinions about it, and you're going to have your opinions about it. And as most artists find, the artist's opinion about their own work is the harshest of any critic that ever looks at it, because we know what we think it should be, and it doesn't live up to that. And so we
like what you said. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting
okay.
here. Like what you said, that before you start to compose, it's a masterpiece.
It can be like the best thing ever made.
But the moment you start to put notes on the paper, it just downhill from there.
Yeah, it's just limited,
it just goes
limited,
downhill
limited.
And the moment that you go like, this is the final composing piece, it's like, utter shit. And you can win first prizes just like Beth did.
Yep.
Win first prizes and you're ready to burn it.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling I can't apply myself. So it's like if it ends up finished, then that's a bit of a fluke.
but is the lack of application itself a way of diverting from feeling like somebody who can finish but just doesn't finish very well?
I don't know. Well, I just put it down to my ADHD, my neurodiversity. And then I think, oh God, well, what's the point in even trying? You know, I'm never gonna.
So convenient.
Yeah.
Super convenient.
God.
What is the motivation for doing it? I mean, you said you have, for this one particular one, you said you have a deadline.
Well, yeah, well, it's a little exhibition in a cafe,
Nice.
which is good for me. Otherwise, I'll just be wallowing around in sort of like creative soup.
But you know, there's also a judgment that you have to work linearly. There's this idea that you know, everybody starts a painting and then they finish the painting. Perhaps you work in a way, maybe because of your ADHD, maybe because of any other reason, that you are really good working on 100 different canvases at one time, and it might take you 15 years to finish one of them, but you'll have all of these things in progress, and that's just the way you work. I know there's
Remember
that
the
Danish,
Danish
yeah,
artist.
there's a Danish artist, and he's same thing, and he does multiple at the same time.
He has
It's
20 paintings lying out, spread out on the floor that he's working on at the same time.
I think it's fear that it will come to nothing.
Mm.
And so, do you enjoy it when you're doing it?
Well, no, because I'm always being divert. I'm always sort of thinking about something else, or I divert so much. So it's very occasionally I would apply myself, and I find it gratifying.
Ooh,
Then
I'm thinking
so it just feels such a struggle.
illusion
But,
of being able to apply yourself.
Yeah, we'll go for it.
No, you go.
No, you go. Well, before you do that, I was gonna say so I think it would help to look into what you seem to be getting out of it. If this is an interest that is causing you more suffering to engage in than not, then that might be a good question to look into. However, if it's also, I mean, what it sounds like right now is that it's a really excellent vehicle for inquiry, that it's a really useful thing to bring up some emotions about feelings of inadequacy and, you know, that you can't, because if you feel like you are humbly bumbly and can't finish a painting, then that's the same thing that you feel about everything in your life.
Yeah.
That I'm assuming that this is something which is absolutely pervasive in the life of Beth.
right, yes.
Yeah. So this is like,
I mean, I accept it more now. I don't, but then I do get periods where I am anxious about something that I have to complete, and I might not sleep. I get anxious.
so this is one maybe safer venue for you to inquire into.
Mm.
So, you know, it's one that it doesn't have like a lot of, you know, well, maybe I'll pay my electric bill, maybe I won't, you know, it doesn't have something like that. It's like, it's painting, you know, nobody's living or dying based off of this, but it's something that brings up that same sense of fear and
Agency.
inadequacy and agency that's really,
Yeah.
really good to actually look into.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can feel it, so that's helpful. It's not like I haven't sort of gone down into a hole of, oh God, I'm rubbish. So I'm sort of like, I'm standing at looking, you know, I'm with it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
the I'm rubbish is the jumping the gap. Like by the time you're rubbish, you're way over to the other side
Exactly,
of it.
exactly. I would also invite you to go into the middle way, you know, or maybe go into being rubbish, standing and looking at the painting. Oh, this is how it looks when you're a painter and you're rubbish, and just be with that without any kind of, you know, tone to it or anything. Okay. So a rubbish painter use a lot of yellow. You know, it's just like exploring that instead of having like the you know, the avoidance about it. Because if a rubbish painter is like our friend, then I would recommend you to become a rubbish painter.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are many incredibly talented rubbish painters out there.
Yeah.
And they do incredible work. So instead
Okay.
of
Instead of having that, sorry, interrupting again. Instead of having that avoidance of whatever it is you are afraid of will happen, see if you can step into it and be curious.
Yeah,
And
I
not-
think that's the
and-
key.
and without any kind of self-flagellation or anything, just go into the room and see what happens when you're there. Because like Todd
Thank
says,
you.
because of ADHD, this is not only in one area, this is in all areas. And this is a very, very safe area to explore.
Be curious.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'm being more curious than I have used
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Because I believed I wasn't curious enough. I think that's breaking down a bit now.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then as you were going to say also, just really quickly, also look into in those moments where you are in the studio and you are, am I going to paint or am I going to watch videos? Looking for that idea of being able to apply yourself or have a sense of agency in that moment. Be curious about what it actually feels like that can make the decision between now I'm painting, now I'm watching videos. And that should just even looking back on it, it should give you a really good indication of the lack of agency if you sat down with the express idea of I am going to paint, and then
It's the
6
hand
hours
flipping.
later, 6 hours later, you have instead flipped the hand and then turned on the television and then watched 6 hours of painters. Recognize that if you really had agency in that, you would have sat there painting the whole time because that was the intention going in. So look in that moment when it's happening and see what it is that feels like it could be choosing to make this decision or that one. What feels like it's coming up in the body, in the thoughts, what feels like it seems to be directing the ability to have a choice of now I'm going to, fill up my little paint containers and I'm going to get my brushes ready and I'm going to do this, or I'm just going to sit down and bask in the glory of other people doing something that I can't do, but it's a chance to explore all of it, because whether it's the you not being not whether it's the idea that you have a choice of whether to do this or that, and then if you find that you're now watching the painters, notice any of these thoughts that come up that, oh, they're so good, I wish I could do that better. All of these self-deprecating thoughts that come up that put you against them and you're comparing you versus them. You don't have a television show where you paint, but we still will compare ourselves that, well, I should be as good as this person who has a televised show, otherwise, or they have really amazing videos and a couple million subscribers on it of how great the artists they are, and I should be that good at least, and so we're doing this unfair comparison all the time.
So comparing. I get quite obsessed about artists, and then I looking at their stuff all the time, hoping that when I do stuff, I'll be able to use that sort of style.
And there is something to be said for, artistically having a lot
Expanding
of
and,
having a lot of experiences and influences. And there is, we talk about the mirror neurons and stuff. There is something to be said about watching somebody do something who does it really well. So it's not that it's a completely wasted activity. There is actually, on a practical level, for doing something artistic, it is actually super useful to watch somebody who's really good at something doing it.
Yeah. But it's the self-flagellation and the attachment to an I that needs to be let go of for you to actually harvest what Todd is talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there will always be something holding you back if there's, okay, I'm seeing what they're doing. Oh, but I can't do it that way. Oh, I don't have that fluidity. I don't have that, whatever. They just see things differently than I do. As long as you keep coming back to that point of deficiency, then, as you said, you don't really get anything out of that. It's nothing free to develop that way.
No.
Yeah, and I feel like quoting Pippi Longstocking, where she says that I never tried that before, so I must be really good at it.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you.
You.
And then it's Jen. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you.
It's lovely to meet you finally. I feel like I know you quite well, but it's the first time we've met. Look, there's a lot of recurring themes today, I think, and yeah, I want to really try and put what I want to say. I've been anticipating this meeting for a wee while, and I'd been thinking about what I was going to ask about. There was something that had been on my brain quite a bit. But last night I had an experience, which is a really typical experience for me. And now that's top of the agenda, but it all kind of fits in together. So last night I was at a public meeting, and I got up and spoke, and then immediately afterwards, I'm like, oh, damn, I didn't even say the main thing that I was going to say. And so then that turns into a kind of self-flagellation thing. Now, this is a very strong pattern of mine. I've done it with, I'm a person who has extremely strong emotions that have had to be held back a lot. You can hear I'm already crying before I start to talk. And I've recognized in my life, I've done a lot of self-work and stuff, and I've recognized that my thought patterns exacerbate my feelings, and then it just gets into that vicious cycle, and it gets more and more and more. So I've done a lot of work on not letting myself embellish those thoughts or think about them. So I do this self-flagellation about the speaking a lot less than I used to. However, it does still happen. And because I know it's such a recurrent theme for me, it's one of the reasons that I'm most keen to see through self and ego, is because there are some situations in my life where, so being in particular committees and things like that, where if I could just let life flow through me, I feel I would do a lot better job. So what happens in the moment when I'm talking, and so I'm finding this right now easier than when I'm in an in-person meeting. Yeah, I get completely contracted. So much so, like, it's the nervousness that you can see in me now is probably tenfold when I'm speaking to people in person in a group, which makes it very difficult physically to talk. But then because there's that such physical stuff going on, my head just goes empty.
Yeah.
So I babble for a bit,
Yeah.
but then I miss the really most important things that I wanted to say. So I know there's a lot of this is related to shame, although prior to seeing some of your videos, Pernille, I wouldn't have put that as my toxic starting point. But yeah, just in relationship to Beth and what she was saying, it's a very similar kind of process for me. Yeah. So I would say in terms of the fetters, like I'm still working on the first 3. I feel like in my previous work that I've done with depression and stuff, I've probably worked on 4 and 5 quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, I'm still very much in my person. Yeah.
Yes. And first of all, I would like to compliment you. I would like to compliment you on 2 things. The first thing is coming here and speaking when you know that as the moment you start to to share how you actually feel, you get really, really vulnerable. It's super, super brave of you to do that. I would like to compliment you for standing up in a room full of people where you know what is going to happen, but it's a cause that is very dear to you and it's important for you to do it, so you do it anyway. I really would like to compliment you for that. I also want to say that working on the first 3 fetters, it's exactly what you're supposed to do with the issue at hand. So all of that is perfect. What I'm hearing is that you have had an upbringing where you having any kind of emotions was not received well. That whatever emotion you had, that was in the way, and you would need to pack it up because it was inconvenient, or there can be a tons of different reasons. Your parents can have been in a ton of different ways. Everything for being, abusive towards you when you showed emotions, to being absolutely, utterly indifferent of whatever need you had. When we grow up and we're not taught how to manage our emotions, they get suppressed. Which means that when we are adults and we are in a safe position in our life and we can actually start to look at it, we start to get burst of rage. That's for a lot of men, they experience that, or burst of shame, burst of guilt, burst of fear. And all that is being expressed in an anxiety, in depression, in blind rage, in all of those different ways. All of them are just showing us that now, my love, you are in a position where you can actually look at this, that you got your back. And I love that you're doing that. I really, really love that. I think it's so commendable. Is that, yeah, it's so commendable that you're doing that. I really, really love that. What you talk about when you're that again, there are 2 things, and I'm sure you're gonna address one of them. What you talk about when you're in the situation and you feel that that you're the next one that is going, you're in the group of, there's a lot of people, you're gonna stand up shortly. You can feel your pulse pulsating in your throat. You can feel how you're almost like blanking out. You have like very, very black around you, tunnel vision, clammy hands, you can hardly breathe, and you have like very, very strong tinnitus in your ears. And the closer the time gets to you standing up and speaking, the more disconnected do you feel. In that moment, you are very, very close to a physical sensation that has been overlooked your entire childhood. You're stepping back through time to all those incidents where you have had a feeling of being on the spot and being wronged in the spot where you were at. So you doing that it's absolutely amazing. I think you're doing everything right. The next thing I would like for you to do, and the next time that you're in that situation, it's to, when you're sitting there with clammy hands, pulse in your throat, tunnel vision, all of that, bring love into the situation. Lots and lots of love. Fucking hell, woman, you are fierce. You're sitting here with clammy hands and pulsating in your throat, tunnel vision and tinnitus, and you're fucking still gonna stand up and talk. You're fierce. Fucking fierce. And when it's then, Jen, your turn, then you just stand up in your fierceness, and you breathe into it, and you allow yourself to be nervous. You allow yourself to have tears strolling down your face, if that is what is happening, clammy hands, not hearing anything, being in that, and you just allow yourself to be in that and say what comes out of your mouth. And if it's blank and you don't know what to say, just stay with that. Breathe with that. Just stay with that. Even if it ends up with you standing for 20 minutes not saying a word, because it's that needs, and I promise you won't be standing for 20 minutes. It might be like 10 seconds. It would feel like 20 minutes, but you just allowing you to have your back, like a bodyguard that Jen is standing there all nervous, and Jen is the bodyguard. And when anybody is trying to go, well, should we let the microphone? Then the bodyguard goes like, "Sit down," like Mr. T. You're your bodyguard. You're there to protect yourself, and whatever comes up, it's fine. You got your back.
Okay, thanks. Yeah,
I would like to point to you because you have had so much anxiety in your life.
Seriously.
So much with the agoraphobia, and we have been working a lot with that, about now in reverse, going back into the feeling. Can you say anything that would be relevant or useful? Also, if it's not.
It's a really good question. That's a really good question. Yeah, I have been through all of that. I've been through the social anxiety and it's funny actually to think, like, back when I was going to, I don't know if you've been to Vince's meetings or know who that is or anything. After Liberation Unleashed, Vince was doing meetings, and I would go, and actually even before that, I think it was even before Vince's meetings, Liberation Unleashed had meetings, but I would go, and it was a Zoom thing just like this, and I would be sitting there feeling like, until, like, I know I'm gonna have to talk at some point, and like, what is the feeling, when is that going to be? And then it was like, as it got closer, like, I knew, everybody else had said something except for me or whatever, and then, like, I knew that it would just get amped up and amped up, and then after I would say something, there would just be this relief. And so even in that, there was this completely no pressure situation, and yet just having the spotlight on me, just having the eyes focus this way. And the irony is, this was even after having gone through Liberation Unleashed. So it's like, even without the belief in the self, without the feeling of the self, there is still this old habit of eyes directing in, being put on the spot, and then blanking. And really, it was just sort of like, over time of going to the meetings, and then I just became more and more comfortable with it. And then obviously now it's like, it's not a second thought. That was something that just kind of happened by doing it and just getting more comfortable with it. But in general, I think, feeling into those, since just like we've been telling everybody, feeling into those sensations that come up with that anxiety, and the instead of immediately pushing it off, that, oh no, it's happening again, this is, something that I've been here so many times, just see it as a brand new manifestation. It's just something that is just showing up for the first time ever. And isn't this a curious thing to be experiencing? And if you have that sort of dissociation, then isn't that a funny thing? Like, where's the self in that dissociative state, where all of a sudden, like, you're blank? We do how much meditation to become blank, and yet it's like, it happens when we don't think we want it. But get curious about the sensations that are happening, and then recognizing that the experience itself is a very interesting one, when we don't put on it all of the weight of, this is a social hindrance, or this is something where I should be able to do this, but I can't. And then, like last night, where you said, after you talked, and then you forgot that you didn't say the main thing that you wanted to say, and then, instead of all the self-flagellation and going into all of the reasons why that was such a bad thing, just recognize that, you did your absolute best in that situation. Have love and compassion for the way that it turned out. Think of all the positive things, what you did actually say. And, instead of taking everything as a loss, start to see it as the win for what actually happened. You actually stood up, you did it, you put yourself into an uncomfortable situation.
Went there with the intention of saying something.
Exactly. You had all of these different positives that then, there were markers of progress, but they get completely overlooked because you only lean on the, oh, but I didn't say the thing that I was going to say, and I did get shaky, and I, it did go blank for a minute, and all of that. That doesn't matter. Focus on the positive side of what actually happened. And it does get easier the more you engage with these things without the fear about what's going to happen. Because, as I'm sure the the anxiety about anxiety is so much worse than the actual, anything that actually happens from it. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, it's often it's I know that it's very much attached to defending this self,
Yes.
because a lot of the situations that I'm in the committee that I'm on, which like I've stayed on it because I know it's a great learning. It's the place where I can do the most learning because it brings this stuff up every single time.
Yep.
But to an extent that I'm not sure that it's healthy in my life, because it's a committee, it's about the environment. And essentially I'm kind of the token greenie on the committee.
Yep.
And so it feels a lot like a battleground where, you know, I'm on the losing side, certainly. But I also, I know that in watching one of your videos, I had the sudden recognition of, of course, feeling so much doubt, trying to defend something that's a fabrication. Yes. like how are you not going to have doubt about that? And that's what it feels like a lot, like I'm trying to defend a fabrication. Whereas I know, on another hand, that if I could let go of that fabrication, I could actually feel a lot more solid in who I really am. So it's that, that's kind of the main things around. And then in the aftermath of doing any talking in those situations, it's the feeling of that I didn't do a good enough job, that I'm not enough, that I'm a bit rubbish. Yeah.
No, you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, the first question I was going to ask is, do you feel embarrassment for that emotionality? Because you said you're a very emotional person, you get that shakiness. Is there
like I've gotten over the embarrassment enough to do the talking in spite of that, but these are situations where that kind of emotionality is not openly welcomed. So, for example, I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable here now. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, and then I'll
it was just the part that you said about before, with standing in the situation and knowing that that is the first time that you are in that situation with that manifestation happening right now. Because when you have an idea of this always happens, that's a lie. It doesn't. This is the first time that you are in that committee talking about this topic yesterday. That was the first time you were in that committee talking about that topic, having the blanking out when that happened, feeling afterwards that you didn't get your message across. All of that was the first timer. And you might say, no, I've been in that committee for 5 years. It happens every single time. But every single time is still the first time that is happening. We just believe in that linearity that is actually not there. And there's a lot of identification in that linearity. That if you really truly see that this moment that you're standing and speaking in the committee, it is brand new. And there is no, it's what you talked about with when there's no identification with the topic and no identification with it, that if you really know that this is a brand new topic, it's a brand new I standing talking here in front of the committee, it's a brand new experience, everything that is happening right now has never ever happened before, and this moment is different, and this moment is different, and this moment is different. It brings you a calm because there's no expectation to any outcome. And whatever you said yesterday was what you were supposed to say yesterday. It's just an afterthought that you should have said something else. You clearly shouldn't. If you should, you would have. It's like you pretend that there's like a parallel universe where Jen said all the brilliant things at the committee meeting. That doesn't exist. You said exactly what you were supposed to say. The seeds that you planted in the other ones, even though you might just be, trophy member, it's a token member, as you call it. You still said the things that were the exact seeds at that moment that were supposed to happen. There's no parallel universe where you said all the right things. This is what is, Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And that's actually the brand new idea that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just say also, because it's such an emotionally loaded topic, like there's a lot of passion behind it because we feel like there's a lot at stake, right?
Yeah.
So when you go into that, especially if you're kind of the token voice of environmentalism and green side of things, I'm sure you feel that weight. Like you have the pressure of, the entire environment and all the animals and all the, everything is on your shoulders in that moment. But it helps to get some perspective from that and recognize that it's one conversation in one committee, and that most likely the entire fate of the world does not rest on your shoulders alone. And so getting some perspective
there
from
are
that.
thousands of committees
Yes.
with another thousands of brothers and sisters standing and being just as nervous and doing exactly the same. It's a choir of people that are standing right next to you and saying the same thing. So you are allowed to be nervous.
Yep. But also recognize that you can breathe
Yeah.
and you can relax, and that we are all deeply thankful for what you're doing, but that you can, it's not all on you alone, and that it's okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you. I do know that. I've done a lot of stuff as well about, that I can work in this little space, but not the whole world. Yeah.
But it's like the same sort of thing that we do where from Beth being not the best painter in the world, so she's a rubbish painter, to I know I'm just trying to do my best for the environment in this little committee, but yet we can just make it into this huge thing, just like any other little I don't know, bad at examples today. Just anything that's like the tiniest thing that it's the tiniest seed of something that when not looked closely at, again, it's the elephant in your periphery, that it seems like such a huge thing. It's just this crushing weight of expectation. And then when you look at it, it's like, oh no, actually it was just one meeting and this one little committee and
yeah,
it kind of dissolves.
It's a bit like our motto for everything Todd and I do with our YouTube channels, with the Awakening curriculum, with all the meetings, with all the inquiries and all of that. Our motto for it is saving the world one awakening at a time. And it's that having a greater, how can I say it, not goal, but a greater vision that we go from, but knowing that it's completely out of our hands and it's just one little seedling that we can plant in what we're doing, but it's still in that direction that we go. It's the same you're doing with your committee, that it's you're part of a bigger wave that is moving. So you're allowed to have clammy hands and tunnel vision and go blank.
And on a purely practical level, I don't know, have you tried putting yourself in a mental situation where you are seeing yourself standing in front of all of these people to feel that sensation, and then practicing like your talking points and the things that you're going to do?
It's kind of funny when if I imagine it, it goes much better. Yeah.
Imagine it.
But I also know that
but it's
time thinking about it sometimes.
Yeah, but imagine it when you are in situations where you feel a bit out, because normally when we imagine that, we're in the quiet and solitude of our home, we have all the things around us, we have surplus, a hairbrush in our hand and in front of the mirror. Imagine it when you are standing in line in a grocery shop. In a moment, I'm gonna speak, and then you feel it, and then you start to go through your mind how you're gonna speak and so you have that physical sensation that just wants you to go like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. It's in those situations you should practice and do the inquiries to when you're doing it.
Yeah, thank you. I will. Look, I've got a low battery message on my
Okay.
machine,
Thank you so
so I
much
don't
for
want to
being here.
black out in the
Loved it so
middle.
much,
But
Pete.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Look
Love
forward
that.
to it.
Love
Yeah.
that. Bye. Thank you.
We don't have much time because I do have.
Yeah, you have
well,
you do.
we have a little bit.
We have Sophie.
It was actually me wanting to ask the question, but
Hi.
Hello.
I kind of also had like the notion of maybe keeping it for the next one-on-one with Todd. So if you guys have to run, we can do that as well.
We have a little bit of time if you
go on.
want.
Go on.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly just relate to Jen because I can so relate to that to being nervous, especially when something is very important. So since this whole journey started for me, usually when I was about to ask a question in any group, this nervousness would have been like very intense. So what kind of helped me with that, and I'm still like I have sweaty hands and my heart is beating heavily when talking to you. But what helped me was like just raising my hand, being completely unprepared, like raising it so 5 people would be in front of me. So I would be nervous for a very long time. And then to kind of like really look into what's happening in my body actually. Like, okay, the heart is beating very fast. Where is it beating? Is it beating down here, coming up? Am I sweating? Where am I sweating? And then kind of I almost like forget that I'm nervous. Okay, it comes back, but like it feels like
It becomes
you guys say it's
yeah.
enjoyable. I wouldn't go that far to say it's enjoyable, but it seems to help. And also when looking back at stuff, usually it's not so bad. I mean, you ask what you kind of want to ask, and no one's frowning on you, and everyone's very friendly usually. And I'm sure it's probably similar for Jen and her meetings. I'd also like to just describe an experience I had yesterday evening, and maybe keep it short and see what context might be necessary for you. I was just laying in bed, and then some kind of a trigger happened. And what was happening afterwards, I keep the trigger out for now, I guess, was like this terror panic came up. And I'm having a lot of energetics generally. So when something like that happens, it just lights up my whole body, and it's getting very intense, not necessarily in a bad way, only if you label it bad, I guess. But the heart is like really beating super fast, like very fast. And I guess you could say there's a lot of, I'm not gonna survive this movement going on. And what also probably is relevant that I feel like I have been there all over sometimes, and with different intensities, with different behavior patterns, or what's playing out in the moment, like getting sucked into the belief or into parts of the belief that's behind us maybe. But this time it was more like, okay, I could see that belief coming up or parts of it, and then the trigger was just running through me. And it was extremely intense, but also I got very still during it in a way. After a couple of minutes of that heart racing and intensity and stuff, Sophie came into the room, and I didn't say anything. She just like realized after some moments that something's up, and she then just sat next to me, put her hand on my chest, and we are sitting there. She told me afterwards for like 45 minutes or something like that. Well, I laying, she's sitting, and those waves running through the body. And after a bit, the heart rate quieted down, I think, and some thoughts came back. For instance, interesting, maybe I should go back in there. It's not done, something like that. And also that I have been there before, and maybe there's some truth to the feeling. Maybe I'm not seeing and I'm not wanting. Maybe I'm avoiding it by becoming more calm and almost enjoying the sensations, because the energetics, or like the energy moving, that kept going for the whole time, and not many thoughts. What also came up is the inquiry. What is having this experience, and doing that, it was an expensive experience in total. Like in the beginning it was more like contracting into the fear, but then like just being with it, it was more like expensive, I would say. But still, like, I mean, and a couple of days before, there were also some energetic movements that were quite intense. So I'm having sleepless nights, and it's quite intense, but also it seems to open up stuff.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if the main wonder I have is if I need to look more deeply into this core belief, or even like core identity that might have been created in some other parts of this process that could be in the way, I guess, in the way for what, but
Go for it.
Yeah, the first thing I would like to say is that I really, really love that the both of you are on the same wavelength about discovery and about inquiry and about looking into it. And Sophie, when you come into the room and you see that something is going on, that you just create the space that is needed, and are just, you know, putting a hand on the chest and showing I'm here, and allowing for him just to go into the experience and just being with it. What I notice of what you're saying, I obviously don't know if it's right or anything, but it's that ego that is stepping in, that when you are then on your way out of it again, the ego comes in and say, there might be more. Are you diverting? There should be more. Maybe you should go back in. Maybe you're all that in your mind, instead of just staying in the body, in the sensory experience that is happening right now. One of the things in my experience that is happening when we start to see through self is that there is happening so much in the body that we do not know and do not understand with the mind. So trying to understand and create a story and put a label on, all that is just aversion. If you can stay with the sensory experience, the way you wake up during the night, like you have had a few nights where you wake up during the night, and instead of creating a story about it, oh, that's because, and maybe I should, and all of that, all that is just stories. You just woke up. I mean, there's no big deal about it. You woke up, be awake, lie awake, do inquiry. And if you fall asleep, you fall asleep. If you don't fall asleep, you don't fall asleep. There's nothing more to it. But we have this ego idea of wanting to find the solution, thinking about, oh, what could this be about? What could this be about? And that is just creating a new story on a story on a story, which has nothing to do with what is actually happening in the body. And a lot of experiences that we have in the body, we cannot explain. And it puts us straight into the 10th fetter of not knowing, that you are absolutely not, you do not need to know. Just allow the body to take you on the trip. I mean, if you were on shrooms or something like that, you would just go with the trip. You know, if you were meditating, you would just go with the trip. Go with the trip. Just go with it. You don't have to understand it, put labels on it, and put it into small folders of insights and all that. Just go with it. Your body is doing something that you are fortunate enough not to have a story about. Keep it like that. And if something comes up that is relevant for you to look at, you will know. That you will not have any doubt about it.
I feel like I have been in these stories for quite a while and always trying to find the next thing. And I might have looked like I found many things. But also, I think that's why I didn't tell you the story, because I feel like, and I'm never gonna know. It's just not knowable. So what's the point in even digging deeper and deeper?
Yes.
And when I wake up at night, when I wake up at night and cannot sleep, then I write very long emails to Todd.
Yeah, so I saw the one. I haven't gotten to actually read it yet. It's been a crazy couple days, but I do plan to read it and respond back.
The end is like, I'm very grateful for you even responding in that kind of depth to emails. So
Thanks.
you don't need to. So
Thank you.
Oh, but
I
he
appreciate
does.
it.
He does. He's
But I-
amazing. But for anybody who has one-to-ones with Todd, you know that if you write to Todd, you get full increase and depth back.
it's such a blessing. It's even like
Yeah.
the last email. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna answer. It's enough.
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's it's amazing answers.
Thank you.
I'm privy to all of it. I feel so fortunate. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just say, you know, and again, we can always talk about more of this, you know, in your next session, but for right now, I've had some of those experiences at different parts of my life in different times, and I can't say that I have any idea why any of them happened, what came out of them. I mean, there were times where it seemed like very healthy in a way where, you know, things were released and, you know, things got much lighter or much more open afterwards and that. And then, you know, there were times where I had things like that and it went a very different direction. So um, it's, I would say, and the problem was, I think, if I can say that, is that it was like earlier during my college years when I had a lot of that stuff. And when it went the kind of problematic direction, it was because I was trying to make something out of it, because I was trying to create stories out of it and make it into something more. And then the ego kind of gets out of control with it. And it becomes this whole other unnecessary land of story and delusion that can basically come out of it. So instead, when it's really just useful, it's just automatic happenings that you just, oh, well, that was interesting, and just roll with it. And just as you said, I love the analogy of just if you're on doing shrooms or doing meditation or something, you would just go with it, and it's that same idea, and just see if something has changed afterwards, if like something suddenly feels freer, lighter, you know, you don't have some hang up that you had. Very curious if that happens, but don't try to make a whole thing out of it. Um, and oh, there's one other thing that popped up. Drat. What was that? It wasn't a big thing. It's just oh yeah, no, just it's very much a similar thing. I don't know if you've ever done like automatic dancing or that sort of thing, where like, you know, automatic movements of the body where you just kind of let go and the body just completely does what it needs to do. And a lot of these what we call like energetic or kundalini things or whatever are very similar to that. It's like if you really let go of the body, it really does do very strange things that it just needs to do for some reason, which we don't consciously need to understand. And then that's it. That's it. You know, so don't put too much into those experiences. Just be with them, let them play out, and then just go about your day.
sounds more fun than what I've been doing.
Yeah, and it would be, I don't know if you have done like the automatic dancing and that sort of thing, but it might be an interesting thing for you to explore, just to see it from, because there's the idea like when you wake up with it happening and all of that, it seems very like spontaneous and against your authentic movement. Leela, thank you. Like it's like it seems like it's almost like against your will or something. It's like something that's happening to you in some strange way. But if and again, this is using a weirdly dualistic language, but if you know, intentionally let go and just let the body do what it does, you can see that actually it's just doing that same sort of thing. And it's not that you know, it basically if you're like sleeping and it's doing it, it's because there's like no conscious barrier there that's keeping it from doing what it needs to do. Body's just bodying. If you can relax that even in your awake conscious state, and then drop that seeming executive function or that seeming thing that exactly, then the body still does what the body does. And but it can give you, if there's like a feeling of anxiety or concern about it happening sort of involuntarily when you're not expecting it, take some time to do it when you are expecting it. It's like, okay, now's the time. Like, I'm just getting out of here. Body, do whatever you need to do, and just let the body move and flow, and then have its way.
Yeah, but I love that, getting out of your own way and just let the body move. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing some TIE, so that's
Yeah, but again, but a TIE is great, but it's very controlled. It's the same that the different exercises that I learned in my education is very controlled movements. What Todd is talking about is bodying.
Just
where you get out of your own way and you're just bodying, that the way that the body wants to move, you move. You're getting out of your own way and you're just allowing movement to happen the way that movement wants to happen. Pretend it's the 70s and off you go. It's the 70s, you're on shrooms and off you go.
You're at a Dead concert.
There's no problem. There's no problem with the movements or the energy.
Okay.
It's the interpretations that create a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, it's what's intertwined with that is like this still apparent shock of the world as I know it to disappear in a cloud of smoke, basically. Yeah, and think like to trying to understand what's going on, and like this movement being present during the other movements. So it's like, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's just the grasping for some sort of solid ground to stand on, to believe in, to relate to, and yeah, it can be uncomfortable, and it can be concerning at times, and then we just keep coming back to what's here, keep coming back to that space that isn't a self, and just allowing things to happen. And the fear and the anxiety might come, and then the fear and anxiety go, and then it plays itself out, and like everything else, you just get sort of acclimated to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really good seeing you.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you in the session soon.
Yeah.
We'll talk more then.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's it, baby, because you got consultations.
I do.
So let me just that and that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much to everyone.
Yeah.
Next week it's the Q&A on Friday. You have open slots for one-to-ones. If somebody's interested, we're gonna put the calendar link.
I think I have some in February. I don't think I have anything more in January at this point. But there's not much of January left, so
no.
Yeah.
And then I was also thinking, I have made all the material for the 5th Fetter. It obviously hasn't been posted yet because it's every Monday that a new one come up. But that means that right now I'm in the midst of starting with the 6th Fetter. But before I do that, if any of you have anything you would like for me to make a video about where I go more in depth about it, then please write me. That means write to Todd and let him know. And then I will make a video about that, because this is the time to do that before I start on the higher 5s.
Yeah.
Was that it?
I think so.
Oh yeah, on my channel, it costs $5 to become a member, and it's in the membership area that you have the link for the Q&A. And then you also, when you're in the members area, I also post all the pictures that I have in the lessons, and then we can have conversations about that. A lot of people have asked me about donations, and I don't really have anywhere you can donate. So there's opportunity to pay $25 or $50 a month on my channel. You don't get anything extra. It's just if you want to donate, you can do that. So I'm not really selling this in any way. You're not getting anything extra. The same with you have also a donation on your, and it's basically just for you guys to show appreciation if you want to show appreciation. If you don't, it's completely fine. We love you anyway. So it's completely fine. It's just for you to, if you want to direct gratitude somewhere, and then the opportunity is there. And if you don't, it's completely fine. We're still gonna be here and still gonna do what we do.
I have like the perks on my channel of the
Yeah, the members area.
Yeah, the members get early access to
Like
videos
this recording.
like this one, and oh, like, you know,
Long answers.
possibly prioritization of long answers if there's like too many for me to get to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
And I might do more perks for other things later on. I don't know, it's new, just started it, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's just to say that we truly appreciate what we do, but we've been asked to put it up, so we put it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
But and we are very, very grateful if you donate, and if you don't donate, we're very, very grateful for you to be here.
Absolutely.
So no pressure whatsoever.
No.
That was
right.
it. Thank you so
you,
much.
everyone. So good
Loved
seeing
it so
you.
much. Loved it so much. Have a great week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Leela. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, Leela.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, lovely Leona.